My project is for high school social studies. In my project, students will work in groups to creatively teach their peers using a PowerPoint, class activity, skit, etc. The students will take on the role of teachers. Each group will be in charge of the class for one day or part of one day. Students will teach the class about a historical or current case of immigration or emigration, having a significant impact on a community. Finally, the students will be asked to post their presentation on some form of social media in a way to spread their newfound knowledge to others outside of the classroom. There are two types of assessments I will use in my PBL. The first one is formative assessment, the second one is summative assessment. Formative assessments check the knowledge of students as they progress through the lesson plan, which allows you to teach to the strengths of each student. Adjusting teaching to the strengths of each student is critical for teaching effectively to each individual student. In order to monitor the progress each student is making throughout the PBL, I will create tests and quizzes that will give me a statistically based idea of how the students are gaining and retaining important knowledge of the subject matter covered in their peers' projects. These quizzes and tests will be fairly easy and stress-free. Grades are not the most important outcome of my teaching. I want the students focusing on gaining knowledge and having a positive experience, not worrying about what grade they are going to have at the end of the year. I will also assess the students' knowledge of the subject matter through daily class discussions. I will ask specific questions about the material they learned in the previous classes, as well as opening the floor for discussion, so that they can ask me questions and I can hopefully give them some answers. The main purpose of my formative assessment will be to have students become familiar with the information they are acquiring, using repetition to move the new information into their long-term memory so that they will retain it. The second type of assessment that I will use is summative assessment. At the end of the PBL, I will grade students based on their creativity that they exhibited, the level of understanding of the project, and their ability to convey their knowledge of the project to their peers, and how much effort they seem to have put into the project. Scaffolding is a technique used to help students develop a deeper understanding of a subject and, ultimately, greater independence as they learn how to learn without assistance. The three main types of scaffolds are reception scaffolds, transformation scaffolds, and production scaffolds. Ement states, the primary function of a reception scaffold is to provide assistance to learners as they gather the information they need. The reception scaffold I will use will be to give students note-taking guides before each unit. The main purpose of these handouts is to make sure students pay attention while I am teaching, while making sure they retain the most important information I am teaching. In my PBL, the students will be able to give their own reception scaffolds as they teach their students, and these could be note-taking guides or any other form of reception scaffolds. The main purpose of these handouts is to make sure students pay attention while I am teaching, while making sure they retain the most important information I am teaching. Each of the handouts will be in a fill-in-the-blank format, detailing the most important parts of the unit that I am currently teaching. Ement states about transformation scaffolds that these scaffolds are used to provide assistance to learners as they deepen understanding of the content. The transformation scaffold I will be using will be a Venn diagram. This scaffold will be used halfway through the unit. However, in the PBL, once again, the students will be able to choose whatever they want to use as they teach their peers. The reason why I chose the Venn diagram is because it will help the students learn visually, and it will help them compare and contrast various issues and topics in the unit. This will help the visual learners. And in case you didn't already know, a Venn diagram is a set of intersecting circles that compare and contrast multiple categories. final scaffold I will be using will be production scaffolds, which according to Eamons are intended to provide students with assistance as they begin developing their culminating product. The production scaffold I will be using will be the sample script. This scaffold will be used at the end of the unit. The sample script will be a former student's final project or paper. The sample script will be an A-quality paper, which will give the students an example of exactly how they need to make their paper or project in order to get a good grade. They do not need to go exactly by the script to get an A. This is just an example of one. The scaffolds I have chosen will help students receive the information I am teaching them, transform their newfound knowledge into a deeper understanding of the subject matter, and produce a quality final product. My PBL and most of my teaching will integrate technology in some way. In other words, technology such as PowerPoints, Google Docs, YouTube, Prezi, etc. will be incorporated into my lesson plan as a way of enhancing the teaching and learning process. In this class, I have learned about new websites and programs such as Prezi that I will likely use in my future teaching career.